The real importance of the Republic lies in Book 2 to Book 8. The principal characters in the Republic are Cephalus, Polemarchus, Thrasymachus, Socrates, Glaucon, and Eudaimentus. Cephalus appears in the introduction only. Polemarchus drops at the end of the first argument, and the Thrasymachus is reduced to silence at the close of the first book. The main discussion is carried on by Socrates, Glaucon, and Eudaimentus, and the author of the entire dialogue is Plato. Plato is believed to have deliberately constructed his early dialogues as aporetic, not only to give us a picture of the historical Socrates, but also in order to use these dialogues to create a setting for his own philosophical position in the Republic. The Republic represents the acme of Plato's philosophy and in a way is the center of all his dialogues. In its sweep, comprehension, perfection, and universality of thought, it shows Hellenic philosophy at its best. It gives a picture not of any existing state in Greece, but of an ideal state in which the apparent weaknesses and shortcomings of the existing states were to be avoided. The Platonic ideal was not a creature of imagination, but an idea perfected by speculation and logic, experience and test, comparison and criticism. The Republic of Plato is more than a treatise on politics. It deals with economics, ethics, psychology, education, and metaphysics. Its range of subject matter includes the whole of human life. Though the Republic is critical of the contemporary political practice and actual state system, its object is to reform the existing social and political defects. Plato holds out before us the vision of the ideal state and the way to realize it with a view to correcting the social and political deformities. In the Republic, the aim of Plato is not to describe what the polis is, but what it should be. An ideal serves as a standard of measurement, a standard by which we measure the actual. Though an ideal cannot be realized, it can enable us to understand the real. The ideal state and the principles lying at the root of the ideal state are still with us. They serve us as the standard with which we may judge the phenomena of actual politics. This is the great function of the Republic as well as its value. Plato shows us what the state would be if its eminent principles were fully realized. By revealing this, Plato reveals to us the truth and thereby enables us to understand the state. Professor George Sabine, in his History of Political Theory, says that the fundamental ideal of the Republic came to Plato in the form of his master's doctrine that virtue is knowledge. The proposition that virtue is knowledge implies that there is an objective good to be known, and it can in fact be known by rational or logical investigation rather than by intuition, guesswork, or luck. The good is objectively real, whatever anybody thinks about it, and it ought to be realized not because men want it, but because it is good. Thus, Plato constructs in the Republic an ideal state by depicting what in principle the state ought to be. He actually gave the idea of an ideal state, not worrying about the practicality of the idea. In his construction of an ideal state in Republic, whose subtitle is concerning justice, he begins with the doctrine of idea or form. The doctrine of idea leads him to the conclusion that ideal is real, and on this premise he constructs his ideal state based on the highest virtue of justice. After rejecting the the then prevailing and dominant notions of justice in his own times. He puts forward his own conception of justice. In his quest for justice, he turns away from the visible and external realities of the world and turns inward towards the mind of man to see justice. This is the great step that Plato took, and herein lies his permanent contribution to the political thought.